Hi, it's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight we have Blasphemer, who are a UK old school death metal band who couldn't let the rotten corpse that is Blasphemer rot away, and are well and truly back to haunt us all. And I, for one, am happy about that. So tonight we have guitarist vocalist Mass and we have guitarist Arno. So the rest of the band are obviously too camera shy, so that obviously means that we can take the mickey out of them. So that gives us free reign. So, how the devil are you guys then? It's good to see you.
Yeah, we're doing good. Obviously, we've just got through the hectic period of the holidays and seeing family and drinking and everything. We're all recovering from that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And obviously, we've had a great start to the new year with the EP coming out, so that's been a great start for us for this year.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Arno. What about yourself, Mass?
Yeah, pretty much same, really. A bit of booze and have a crimbo and stuff like that. Went out for some curries and stuff, and yeah.
I like to
Ready for
see that you
New
live the
Year,
healthy lifestyle.
Well,
Well, to be fair, I didn't expect anything less from Blasphemer, but it's good to see you guys back. But Mass, I've just got a question for you. First of all, like after Nailed was over, was it then that you had the thoughts of bringing Blasphemer back, or had you had thoughts already? Were they starting to creep in before Nailed was officially over?
no, after sort of did the nailed thing, I sort of redid some of the Ebony Lake stuff with one of the guys from that band, which is a bit more avant-garde,
Yeah,
fucked up kind of stuff. Which is we sort of did that for a little bit, but uh, I don't know. I was kind of messing around with recording stuff at home, you know what I mean, or messing around with just some old Blasphemer ideas. I was trying to re-record, see what it sounded like using like programmed drums, just fuck about.
yeah.
That's basically how it came about. But yeah,
So did you always feel that you had some unfinished business to do with Blasphemer?
well, when I started listening back to some of the stuff, it like maybe we could do something with this. You know, if we like, obviously we could play a bit better. You know, a few years down track, and it's like, oh, in it, you look back at sort of some stuff, and you're like, some ideas are there, and you know, in primitive sort of ideas, but there's some stuff in there that's worth revisiting, I guess. So I think we kind of did that, sort of, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I noticed that yourself, Arno. Like you hadn't played music for a while after Dominion. So
Yeah.
was it an easy
Um,
decision for you to come back, or
well,
was it difficult to get you back in? Did they have to fight you to come back in, or what?
Well, I'd kind of dipped my toe in music a little bit that nobody really knows about. While because I lived away from West Yorkshire for a long time,
Okay.
and while I was away for about 18 years. I did dabble with a band for a while, but it never really took off. It never really went anywhere. There were some good ideas,
Yeah.
and the drummer was great, by the way. The drummer's really good in that band, but it just never really materialized. And then I've not done anything then for a number of years, been through life and all sorts of stuff. And one day, I think my memory serves me right, it was probably around about 2013 when Mass first started talking to me about it. And he, as he said, had been messing around with some old ideas about us. And we were sort of talking on the phone, and he said, you need to listen to these. These actually sound really good, like played years later.
Yeah.
So he kind of sent me them. I listened to them and thought, wow, this actually does sound a lot better than what it did, 20, 15 years ago, whatever it was at that point. And that was when I then seriously started thinking, right, okay, I need to get my shit together, basically.
Yeah.
And that sort of coincided a couple of years later with circumstances in life with me actually moving back here. So then obviously it was much more possible to do things as well.
Yeah. So had they always kept in touch with you, or was it a coincidence?
Yeah, me
Like,
and Mass have always been in touch. Always been in touch.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Mass grew up together from what, Mass? 10, 11, 12 years old or something like
10,
that,
12,
So we've known each other since we were kids. So yeah, we always kept in touch.
So it wasn't much convincing at all, but glad to see that you guys are back. But do you now have the motivation to do it all over again, or is it a case of like after doing it for a number of years and being in the music trade for a number of years, you know all the tools, you know all the tricks of the trade, you know what to do and what to avoid and things like that. So you can now solely focus on this and make the name of Blasphemer there again.
I think the difference is, personally for me, is we were a lot younger when we were doing this first time round. We were much more naive. I think we've all got our feet on the ground. We've all got our eyes open. We don't really care what anyone else is doing, what any trends anyone else is following. We just want to do what we want to do. And it just seems that, you know, fortunately, more people now seem to be interested in it than they were at the time years ago. I mean, I'm amazed these days when we do concerts and half of the kids that are stood there are like 20 years old or something. It's like, what?
Do you know, like even up here in Scotland, there's a huge old school death metal feel at the moment. There's such a quality of bands, and as you know, there's a festival in Glasgow at the end of this month that it showcases that. But it's definitely very much alive. You've got Malediction coming back, for example. But you've got plenty of Scottish bands, Penny Coffin and Coffin Mulch and Brainbath, Rancid Cadaver and things like that. So now's the time is right to play your old school death metal, and that's exactly what you guys play. So.
Well, I think as well, I think a lot of it to do with why this kind of music is much more popular as well is, you know, the state of the world that we all live in. It's an angry place. So, you know, there's a lot to be pissed off about these days, you know, much more than, say, teenage angst when you were a kid, you know?
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel, Mass? Like, do you feel that you've got the same kind of motivation that you've got now than you did then, or was it just fun then? We'll just see what happens, or now you're like, this is serious. This is what I want to do.
I think first time we started doing it, the only time it started to really get serious is when Peaceville came sniffing around, and you know that kind of threw a spanner into works. So it would change into a different. It changed into a different band by the time we got involved with Peaceville. Even though it was Blasphemer they came for, well, they didn't like the name and shit, you know what I mean? But that's a different thing. But yeah, it's kind of evolved through that, you know. But now it's I don't know. It's trying to fit stuff to do around everybody's jobs, and it's more like that. Whereas before, you know, if we had to fuck off to London for a weekend, it was no big deal. We'd do it at a drop of an hat, you know what I mean? But now it's sort of everything's sort of planned in advance around people's other projects or having to work, or you know. Whereas back then it was just like, oh fuck it, you know, we're going off with a gig next week in London. Yeah, let's go, you know. But I mean, we still get a lot of them gigs now. What just pop up now and again. Sometimes we can do them, sometimes we can't. But you know, it's just off the cuff stuff, really.
That's it. Thanks a lot for that, guys. Thanks a lot. But I ask these questions because it feels like you're starting again as a new band, even though like you've released 2 albums in the last 6 or 7 years or something like that. But you've also released music about 30 years ago as well. So how easy or hard is it trying to get the name of Blasphemer back out there again? I mean, with the use of social media, and so important, but as we all know, it's so bloody time consuming. And the way the world is at the moment, you can have one-man projects, you can record an album in your own bedroom now.
Yeah, you have to keep at it to get it online, like spread about online. You have to keep at it and posting and spamming. I don't like spamming shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to try to promote your band, but there's a point where it becomes folk get sick of seeing it.
Yeah,
you've got to try to do it organically. You know what I mean? And if people engage with band, you've got to try and you know chat with them, you know, or whatever to do. I say cheers for buying T-shirt or CD and sort of engage with people. And they'll sort of maybe they'll come back and listen a little bit more if you engage with people rather than just trying to spam people and boost posts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be organic, I think.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It's
I think there's a lot of bands out there that can appear to be a lot bigger than what they are, because it's quite easy if you want to do that to buy likes, to buy all this stuff, and appear to look massive, but you couldn't sell out a toilet, What's the point in that? I mean, I think the best way to sort of spread your music around is just do what you do. And like Mass said, let it grow organically, let people out there decide that they like it. Don't ram it down their throats, by spamming people and stuff online. We're not cool with stuff like that at all. It's not us.
Yeah. And imagine you've noticed a difference as well in like CD sales and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if you're using Spotify and Bandcamp and stuff like that, the return to the band is minimal at best. Whereas in the olden days, at least you were getting a few quid for your album.
We still tend to sell physical copies at gigs.
Yeah.
We don't tend to sell. You don't get too many people buying CDs. You know, if they get they buy the CD, they get the online shit anyway, don't they? As a code and stuff. So
yeah,
you
it's the only way bands survive now is like people buying the merch because they don't get anything from sales anymore. So
that's the only way you can make money in it, and it's not about making money, but it's about covering your costs and trying to sell some stuff what you think's pretty cool.
Yeah,
T-shirts and stuff. I mean, you get so many shirts back in, your money you make back goes back into getting the next batch or a different design. So
yeah,
you're not personally making anything. It's just all going back into making the next batch of 50 shirts. Don't like to keep stocks reasonable. We don't like having boxes of 100 of shirts, where you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
I like to keep it bare minimum, you know what I mean? If I want them.
Yeah, do the pre-orders and stuff. I interviewed Tail Ripper, and he had a big, huge man cave behind him, and it was just shelf upon shelf upon shelf. That shit, but
yeah, we've got a bit of a stock, but we tend to carry more than 10, 20 shirts of each size, across designs. But
yeah,
we're just about to do a restock as it is. So.
Well, good. Anyway, so one of the reasons that we're talking today is you've just released a 2-song EP on the 1st of January there, Marked for Death. Well, when I say it's a 2-song EP, it's 2 new songs. There's about 5 or 6 live songs. So how does it feel to finally get new music out there for the masses to hear and show that Blasphemer are still alive? Because I think it's, about 6 or 7 years since your last release?
2018, was it? 19, I think the last stuff we put out.
Yeah.
New stuff. It was just an experiment to go to the studio. We found out we've got a few friends in bands that had contacts. We told about this studio. Your way at Stratham.
Strathaven, aye.
Strathaven, is it? Yeah. Deep Storm Studios, and a few guys were like, well, we need to go in the studio. It kept popping up this now. Let's go to this studio up in Scotland. It's like a real good place. We're like, oh, let's book a weekend up there and see what comes out. We've got a couple of new tunes and sort of let's see how it goes. So
the 2 tunes themselves, Marked for Death and Grooming Gang, yeah. So how old are those songs? Were they just written last year? Or
they've been kind of bouncing around for the last. Grooming Gang's been bouncing around for a while in certain forms.
Yeah.
Marked for Death has been floating around.
Yeah.
It's just been taking time to get together as a band, because you can get ideas together at home on a computer.
Yeah.
But when you get into a room, you find certain stuff doesn't work with band. When you're all playing it, it might sound great on your system. When you've done it in Cubase, but when you actually there's 4 people in a room trying to jam it out, it don't sometimes translate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes we're like, well, that would work, and we've sort of taken bits out and fucked around. So
yeah. No, cool. Arnold, do not touch any wires. Your camera's back on. Fantastic. Thank you. But yeah, I was just actually wondering if you were becoming a doom metal band, because it's taken you a good number of years to release new material. But I'm glad that I'm glad that you've done that.
I think.
No, carry on.
I think, to be fair, the material would have come out a lot quicker, but we all had that period where we were kind of shut in our houses for the best part of 2 years, and nothing was really going on. And we did in that period write quite a lot of music, but we ditched most of it because we just thought it wasn't good enough, to be honest with you. So we have, we never got a shortage of ideas. It's just that, when we put stuff out, we want it to be, the right stuff. And this is just kind of a precursor really to album 3, really.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Lust of the Goat came out in 2018. So although this is your first ever EP, were the thoughts of it being an album, or was it always thoughts of it being like an EP?
We made it like dipping his toe into just checking out the studio. You know,
So is there a
experiment,
chance, now
really.
that you're saying that, is there a chance that you can return to the studio?
We are going to go back. We're going to try and get back up there first quarter of this. Well, I can't remember what it, April, May, June. I can't remember. We're going to book some time up there and try and do a bulk of songs. So, yeah.
Well,
Definitely going to go back.
Strathaven is like 10 to 15 minutes away from me, so let me know when you're coming up so I can bugger off somewhere, because I don't want to be here when you're here. No, if you're looking for somewhere to stay as
Fantastic
well.
place, yeah. Fantastic place where it is.
Yeah.
It's rural cottage studio.
How did you find
residential. Great difficulty. There were plenty of dodgy little side streets up there. There's like big mansions.
No, I mean, like, who
Like,
recommended it to you?
Well, Dan, the drummer,
Dan.
I think had been up there. He knows Kev, who owns it, Kevin Hare, and another band from around here, Oakenthorne, I think, had been up there to record, and just some news that filtered back, and Dan kept popping it up. You know, so like, why don't we just go up there? You know, I think he'd been up there to oversee some recording or something. He's been up there before, I think.
Yeah.
Always bigging it up, and it's like when we got up there, it was like incredible.
Yeah.
You know, the actual residential part of it's like complete luxury. You know what I mean? The studio is like, you know, placing it, but it's in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Can't say enough about it.
how long did it take you to record the EP then? Even though it was just 2 songs, really.
We
went up there for a long weekend, didn't we? We got up on like a
we got up there on, I think we got up there on the Friday and we came back on the Sunday evening, so we were only there really like 2 nights.
Yeah.
And a day.
Yeah, just a long weekend, yeah.
No, cool.
It was a lot of fun as well. We really loved it up there. It was, for me personally, it was the most pleasurable recording experiences I've ever had. I thought it was great. You know, it's so nice to be sort of somewhere away from everybody, just isolated, just with the whole band and you know, some of our crew and stuff. It was great. It was a really, really cool experience, and I think that came through on the record as well.
Yeah. Well, like I say,
it's a bit of a change to get away somewhere. You know what I mean? Because get everybody in band together, and guy who drives van came up, and LJ who sells t-shirts at gigs came up with us. So we're all like having a bit of a party after, you know, good crack, and engineer stayed there as well. So we were a good vibe all around. So yeah,
you're there to work, not party.
Well, we did plenty of work, but
we did plenty of
downtime afterwards. You know what I mean?
Work hard, play hard. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's a really simple question, this. So the EP is called Marked for Death. So why is it called Marked for Death? And how did you come up with the title? Was it just, did somebody say something and you just, that's it? Or was it
based on Steven Seagal movie?
Right, okay. Your favourite movie?
I think it was a two-pronged thing, wasn't it? Because you when I
think it was the song originally like called Ritual, or as a working title on it.
But yeah, we love the action films, so Mark for Death.
I don't know. Well, no. I think you came up with it. So why did you call it Mark for Death? I'm like,
do you know what it was? I think what it was is for over like about a 4-day period, I kept seeing the phrase Mark for Death come up in various different things. Right. And it was just one of those ones. I really like that phrase. Let's have that as a title for the song. And then obviously it's a Seagal film as well. So it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Came up, he says, "Oh, it's called it for my friend." I'm like, yeah. Next was called Invasion USA. Like,
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, so with you two being the original members of Blasphemer then, with this being the first release in a number of years, for those that are new to the band, how would you say the new Blasphemer compares to that of your 2 albums or even the early 90s? And do you think you've found the sound that you've been looking for?
Who's that to
me? Try to make it sound... there's a lot of... I don't know, there's a few tracks on them 2 albums, what we did. We'll probably don't play live as much, which sort of like scratch his head down and listen to them and sort of think. To me personally, I think we should the sounds should try to be true to sort of first 2 demos, kind of sort of style, like the music we listened to. We were trying to rip off or emulate back in the day. Bands what were first excited as we were going to death metal. That were the bands we were trying to, you know, mimic or take bits from, you know, from Cancer, Deicide, Obituary, Morbid Angel, Celtic Frost, that's the stuff what made us want to try and write that music. So, and then a bit later, other influences came in, and it sort of drifted away from that. And to me, I like to try and stick to the essence of what made us write that music in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, can't argue with that, because that's exactly what I like. That's music to my ears. So thank you. What about yourself, Arno? What do you think's changed or kept the same? Or
Well, I think as Mass said, I think when you're young and you're first starting out, I think everybody wants to emulate their heroes at the time. You know what I mean? That's how you get into the music. You want to sound like these bands. I think, as he said, I think in the 90s, things started becoming much less focused and much more other influences creeping in. And, you know, the whole Dominion thing, as far as I'm concerned, that's a totally different band to Blasphemer. It's not Blasphemer at all.
yeah,
What we do now, I think, especially the more newer material, I think it's much more focused, like Matt said, on sort of core ideas. And I think we do much more with core ideas without drifting off into tangents, and keep it much more focused. And just, you know, obviously try and keep it much more driving, old school death metal, riffs, you know, brutal lyrics, something to, you know, something that's a bit catchy, because there's nothing worse than listening to heavy music that's just,
yeah.
you know, going nowhere, you know.
Try to keep it simple. You know,
I,
I've done the technical stuff with nailed, and the suffocation, million riffs, all this stuff. But I like the meat and taters, simple stuff with fucking two notes, carpet roll drums, you know, cancer, obituary, pestilence stuff, you know, that's kind of meat and taters, autopsy, you know. It's real. Yeah,
I like his musical
totally
taste,
played.
Arno. I like his musical taste. I'm waiting for like something like fucking Motley Crue to come into it or something.
No, there'll be none of
Motley Crue. I don't think so.
No, but that's exactly it. I love the old school death metal vibe that you guys do. I mean, there's absolutely no chance that you're reinventing the wheel, but what you guys are doing is writing tunes and writing songs and writing riffs that you can actually mosh and headbang to. For
There's
me,
plenty of bands doing it, isn't there?
for me, my favourite song off the EP is "Marked for Death." The first minute, yeah, it's good, but see when you just go, you speed up a bit and go that mid pace and the risk, you know, yep, that'll do for me.
We like that. There'll be a lot more of that stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Slayer riff, yeah.
yeah. Because I know you like your blast beats here and there and stuff like that, but see when you do it mid paced,
We don't
To be
overly
honest,
use
there's
that.
not many blast beats in our stuff. Usually
Yeah.
because it kills Dan when we play live. There's maybe a section at the end of Blasphemer, maybe where there's a bit of blasting, but it's like we don't really go for that kind of stuff.
yeah,
We've got like
It's dynamics of the music as well. I mean, you can have like, you know, you don't want to sort of compete in the drum Olympics, do you? You know, where every drummer sounds like a typewriter or something. You know what I mean? It's just
we have like 3 or 4 gears, and that's all we use. 3 or 4 gears. We don't go for this like the blasting, and
yeah.
we've got, you know.
I mean,
maybe 6, 5 beats.
I do like brutal death metal sometimes, but just when they have like the biscuit tin snare drum, I'm like, nah, that just immediately turns me off.
I don't
I do
mind
like
bits of it, you know what I mean?
I do like the pig squeals sometimes, you know, but nah,
Some of it's okay, but
yeah.
you know, I have listened to a lot of it, but does it stuff I go back to? Maybe not.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks very much for that, guys. So, going back to the EP then, so how were the songs constructed for the EP? I mean, are they the main songwriters to the songs, or did all members contribute? And how would you say that you kept it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song?
I think, like Mass was saying earlier, a lot of ideas sometimes people work in isolation on, and then when they'll get in a band, and then when we get into a band room, sometimes a lot of stuff, nobody's really precious about their ideas. So it's much more of a collective effort, I think, once we get into a band room, wherever the ideas come from. Sometimes, you know, ideas will come in the room. Sometimes people will bring in ideas. It's definitely a group effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we tend to do is now we seem to instead of trying to, you know, construct shit on your own at home. Really, what we tend to do is like the idea is to get maybe one or two riffs will go together and sort of get a little parts of stuff rather than trying to write an entire thing. And
Right.
sort of like bring a couple of little parts, and you just death metal, you can connect anything. Can't you? It's like fucking bric-a-brac in it, As long as it's just a different way of connecting different blocks in it. Certain riffs will go with certain speeds. It's just a way of rejigging stuff what sort of works,
Yeah. So, what I was trying to find out was, is there a moody one in the band? Is there somebody that goes in a huff if a riff is taken away, or no, I don't like that idea and it's snubbed and stuff like that? Is there somebody that gets pissed off?
No, not I wouldn't say so. I think everybody is really sort of open to whatever serves the song best, really. I mean, you'd laugh about how some of the riffs come up. I mean, we have sometimes, when I say they come from everywhere, we've all received, haven't we, Mass, from Dan, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then someone's got to work it out, and then that becomes a song. Stuff happens seriously like that sometimes. So it is definitely a collective effort from everybody, and ideas come from everywhere. Be it lyrics, song titles.
You've just actually stolen my next joke, because that's what I was going to say. Who's the guy that sends a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning saying this is the best riff yet that I've ever written? But you've answered
It's not on a guitar. It's usually not on a guitar. It's hummed, innit? Drunkenly hummed.
But to be honest with you, being in a death metal band, I'm quite disappointed in your answers there, because I thought they would be like blood on the walls and fights in the studio and stuff like that. But it certainly seems to be like Blasphemer are a cohesive unit.
When we get the ideas together in band room, we just sort of jam through bits and work. We usually record certain little segments, that we can listen back to them and sort of rejig stuff and sort of listen back to rehearsals of certain.
And what's also pleasing to see,
stuff,
what's also pleasing to see is that since you've came back, you've got the same members. You've not chopped and changed. You've not lost 10 members and brought on 12 and stuff like that. It's the exact same members. So that's also contributing to making the songs as strong as they are.
Yeah. Well, we've known Dan since we were teenagers as well. We all live close, within a couple of miles. We all live within 2 miles of each other, really. Me, Dan, and Arno, and Dale's a little bit further away, on the side of Wakefield. But we've had a nucleus, sort of.
Well, also as well, Dan's been around the band from day number one. I remember Dan before he was the drummer that he is. Being at our rehearsals when he was 13. Yeah, that's how long we've known Dan. So Dan was the natural choice because he's always been around the band, and then we were lucky enough to fall on someone like Dale, who's just fit straight in, great guy. You couldn't ask for more from a bass player. So that's why we've got a stable lineup. We don't want to get rid of anybody.
Bass players are always really hard to find, and Dale has been with us for ages, so he's perfect, he can play like a bastard.
Do you know, Mass? I think
plus he knows all the theory side.
Yeah,
he knows all. He knows that he's good at music theory and stuff like that. Where I just play riffs and I don't understand if it changes into a certain signature. I just play it and feel. But then when it comes down to, when you're working digitally, like in Cubase, you have to work with click tracks and stuff like that. It's like he's good at figuring out, that's in that timing, and whereas me, I'm like, is it? He's really good at that sort of theory side, but he knows the music theory and timings and all this sort of shit. So he's sort of the brains who can sort of work that shit out. You know what I mean?
Well, Mass, I think Arno thinks he's the bloody vocalist of the band, because usually when I ask a question to a vocalist, he answers my next 6 bloody questions, and that's the second time he's answered my next bloody question. So, so I'm going to change it a wee bit. So now I know how Dan Mullins got involved with the band. I take it wasn't a difficult decision for him to say, I'll play drums. But do you think he was just going to play drums on your album before Lust of the Goat? The one before that, do you think he was just doing that one and that would have been it, and you would have looked for a permanent drummer, or did you guys actually want to keep him as a drummer, but he's with his projects and stuff like that, you just didn't know how much time he can devote to it?
When we first started back, we started looking for a drummer. We had a guy coming from Leeds, come and jammed with us for a few weeks, months maybe, I can't remember. And we went to do, we sort of reworked maybe Immortality and Sutcliffe, I can't remember which one it was. And we were going to go and re-record it as a demo up at Academy Studios. And Dan is the engineer.
Yeah.
He was the engineer at Academy at the time. I thought, we'll just work these tracks out and we'll go up and record them. And we went up to record them, and Dan was the engineer for that session. And it come out pretty good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that, Dan sort of sat back and like, it's not really doing it justice. It's like, I can maybe do something with this. So that's sort of when he sort of wanted to get a bit more involved. So I think he saw something maybe musically he might want to get involved with, maybe.
Yeah. And look up now, he's now contributing riffs to you at 2 o'clock in the morning and stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of keep him away from Blasphemer now. But what about Dale when it comes to like the constructions of the songs? Then what is it that he brings? Did he come up with the riff ideas, or?
Yeah, he's bringing riffs in. He's bringing riffs in. It's Dale, definitely. Yeah, like I said, it's coming from everywhere now, so which is great, you know. And that's a good thing. Like I said before, I don't think any of us are that sort of precious about ideas. Really, it's more really when we've got something in the song, it's what serves the song best, and we want the song to sound great. So, you know, within our own limitations, obviously, but you know, we want it to sound the best as we can make it. So, you know, we've all been in situations in our lives in bands, not this one, but, you know, where people are arguing over pathetic things for hours over a riff change or, you know, segue into a section or something. You know, none of us want to be in a band like that. So, you know, it's quite calm in that sense, which is good.
Well, I'm liking what I'm hearing, and I hope that means with the 2 songs in January, we won't have to wait too long for more material from you guys. So,
well, I mean, as I was saying before the video went down, I think like with the sort of 2.5 years we were all locked, well, the 2 years best part of we were all locked in our houses.
Yeah.
That really slowed the band down because there was a period where no one knew what was happening, whether music was going to come back at all. It was really hard to get rehearsals for a long period of time because you just couldn't be in contact with people. And then over that period, the material that came out of that, we did have a fair few songs, didn't we, Mass? But like you said, we kind of sort of into the conclusion that, you know, Grooming Gang and, you know, where we were going for Mark for Death was not much direction where we wanted to go for the next album. So we used those as a benchmark and expect more in that direction.
Yeah. Well, certainly like it. But was it like when you were in isolation, but you were again allowed to meet each other outside? So did you scare the shit out of your neighbours by meeting in the back garden and getting your guitars out and an amp and playing some riffs together?
Well,
we did have a few rehearsals, didn't we? We did have a few rehearsals.
And then the rehearsal studio we used to rehearse at then shut down over COVID. So then we had to find somewhere else to rehearse. And well, you know, there was all sorts of stuff going on back then. So
cool. Thank you. So with Mass, with you being the vocalist of the band, then do you write all the lyrics, or do all members contribute to the lyrics of the songs? Then
yeah, I'd say I probably write majority of them. Yeah, I get a few ideas from guys. You know what I mean? I was like, maybe write something about this subject or something like that. But yeah, I'm usually one who, when we've finished sort of getting a tune together, we sort of get a rough idea of a rehearsal. And I'll listen to that at home. When I hear vocal lines going round on certain stuff, we sort of change bits to suit, if you know what I mean. But
So what kind of vocalist are you? Like, do you read a lot of books? Do you watch a lot of war documentaries? Or do you always have a piece of paper and a pen with you and you open the front door, you see something, you take a note and you write about it later? Where do you get your inspiration from?
Everything and everywhere, really. It's just, whether it's films or documentaries, any little quote or line from bits what sort of spark an interest. I sort of like bits like that and just keep it in a file, or just open a Word file document and just keep bits in. Maybe they don't make sense to read, but they might work for something when I'm doing something later on in a subject. Or So I definitely do check
Do you also
pinch lines and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you also have like well, you just talked about it there, like a bank, like say for example, like Wando from Brain Bath, he says he's already got 15 songs written. So it's just he's waiting for guys to write songs about it, or do you wait for the songs to be done and then it takes you a few days to write the lyrics? You're quite quick at writing the lyrics.
Once I've got a kind of a subject what I'm going to go for, then I'll watch certain stuff and I'll take phrases from stuff or ideas from them kind of things. But once I know the subject, we usually don't have like a bank of lyrics for loads of different songs.
Yeah.
Usually we don't write the lyrics until we've sort of, it might be an idea or write it about so and so and so and so.
Yeah.
But that'll be it. But until music's finished, I don't really approach writing lyrics or vocal lines. Just sort of do that when we've got this basic core tune.
Yeah. And also with I mean, more so when you recorded the albums, but maybe with the break as well, and then coming back to recording 2 songs and singing them like time and time again before you were happy with it. How are you keeping your throat in check and stuff like that? Did you find it tough getting back into the growling side of things?
No. Sip a few beers and smoke a few joints. And
Why did I know you were going to say that? I knew that was going to be the answer.
A few kebabs as well.
Yeah, some kebabs and fuels on curry. That's about it. But no, I tend not. I don't really have any problems with my throat, really.
Do you have a place in your house in your man cave that you can practice and just keep it?
No, that's why I like it. It's just we don't get a chance to race so often, and when we do race, I don't do vocals until we're getting ready for a gig.
Yeah.
Well, I know after I've got to maybe have a rehearsal to blow cobwebs out of my voice.
Yeah.
So I know when I go to a gig, it's a little bit better. But I think when I've warmed my voice in a little bit better, it gets more brutal. But But it don't tend. I don't really have any problems with it. I don't think.
Well, do you know, like, see when I look at your lyrics for some of the songs and stuff like that, for example, when you say "cross me and I will fucking kill you," taking your life means nothing to me. That's from Grooming Gang. I fucking believe you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're talking about experience or something like that you've done something like that.
Do you want to let them in secret on what that's based on?
Well, it's based on, it's like the Grooming Gang rock. Did you ever see the BBC thing called Three Girls, whatever it was called?
I haven't seen it, but I know the kind of, I watch predators getting caught and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, it was like a docudrama thing,
Aye.
3-part docudrama based on all like Rochdale Grooming Gang scandals.
Yeah.
And all this stuff what been covered up. And a lot of that stuff's going around on where we live openly. You know what I mean? So like all this was going on, like that's a fucking nasty subject. We'll fucking write a song about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it were everywhere in news and everything. It was just like, it's basically based on that. So some of them lines like that, some of the lines from that Three Girls, it's some of the stuff what people are saying to the girls in it. So yeah.
So it's like I said earlier, you open your front door, it's there. You know, unfortunately, that kind of thing's happening where you are, which is unfortunate.
Well, it's rife everywhere around here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of the vocals, I'm sure in the past, or I'm sure I've seen on live videos, Arno, were you not doing some vocals?
What, back in the 90s?
Yes.
Yes, I was, yeah. I used to share the vocals with Mass, but...
Is your voice broken now or something?
No, it wasn't really that. It was more really that obviously, as you mentioned earlier, there were gaps in music for me. So once I started getting back into Blasphemer, I really had to concentrate on getting the guitar stuff down.
Okay.
And because obviously Mass is doing the vocals, I tend to do more of the leads. He does leads too, but I tend to do more of them. So I have that to concentrate on. So it was just like, you know, relearning to do all this and singing, relearning singing and playing. So.
What if you swap some of the leads? So you do the vocals and he does some of the leads?
Give me some chords to play and some uncomplicated riffs, and I can do some shouting. Yeah.
I can't play leads. I just make a racket, mate. I have to play them now and again, but trying to remember what I recorded sometimes there's sort of bluff.
I think for me personally, to come back properly doing vocals, I'd have to do some serious practicing with my voice again. I think I'd just die if I tried to do that right now.
What about Dale? Can he do a wee bit of bass vocals?
Yeah, like I said, we have tried it. We have tried it in rehearsals.
Me and Dale have done some vocals sort of on backups for like Sutcliffe and stuff like that before, a few gigs live. And we probably do need to start doing that again so we can get our voices maybe back in shape. So maybe for this year, we'll look at me and Dale doing some more of that maybe.
Well, as you were away...
Smiling means that he has less to do live.
I don't have much, like, you know.
Me and Mass were talking about that while you were off air and stuff like that. And it's just, do you know, it adds so much diversity, and it's so much more pleasing to see for the gig goer when they see 2 or 3 vocalists. It just adds so much diversity to a song, and it's just brilliant to watch.
Sure, yeah, I get that. I mean, yeah, me and Dale probably will need to try and do some more of that at some point. Yeah, but I get what you're coming from there.
Just to let you know, that's recorded now, Arno. So
I've basically like signed my own fate now going forward. I know.
Cool. So let's talk about the artwork for Marked for Death for a second. So who done the artwork for you?
A guy called Deddy Baddick, is it? Some guy online, he's done stuff for Skeletal Remains and all sorts of stuff. He does a few different styles, and we needed something quick. So we put me in touch with him. I gave him a scribble. One of my mates who was done, Paul Cuthbert, who did the artwork for the Lust of the Goat painting and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he's always doodling, and I was sort of give him a scribble. I says, I'm going to sort of send this to an artist. Can you sort of enhance what I've done? And he sort of gave me a few scribbles, and I sort of sent them to this guy because basically, can you do this? I sent him the lyrics from Marked for Death and a rough concept of what we wanted, and the first sort of attempt to come back. Like, what do you think of that? Like, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a very impressive cover. But that's what I was going to ask, but you've just more or less answered it. Did you give him the lyrics to the song? Did you just say, right, this is what's in my head, this is what I want you to portray? Did you give him free rein? But you had a couple of scribbles, eh?
I had a scribble with a woman tied to a stake with dodgy looking skulls with flames going up, like something like that. We sort of, my friend enhanced it with a pencil drawing a little bit better than what I did, and it was basically that. Not too dissimilar from what he's come up with, but he's just, you know, put his stamp on it, like, you know.
Yeah. Some imagination you've got there, mate. Some imagination. But staying with the visual side of the EP, you done a video for Marked for Death. So, how was that day for you? Was it a long day? How was it all? We
passed it on to a friend of ours called Luke, who runs Fleshless Films. I wanted a lyric video doing, just a basic music playing with lyrics, what just match up. It's sort of, well, I can do this, I can do that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, yeah. He's been after doing some work for us for a while, and
I think he's done a great job.
I did lyric videos before, but they're really time consuming and stuff, and thought I'd just pay somebody to do it and let him get on with it because he knows what he's doing. I'm just left into it, and he'll be doing another one for Grooming Gang as well. So
good, because I was about to say it's a very impressive video indeed.
Well, Luke's known us a long time as well, so I mean, Luke's another guy that's known us a long time. He knows the band. He knew exactly what we wanted, and he did a great job. Top notch.
We just sort of left him to it, you know, gave him lyrics, the song, and he sort of gave him a basic, and he just sort of cobbled bits together, and he's good at putting out effects and stuff. And
yeah, it was very cool, very cool. That's what I was actually going to ask. Was there a lot of toing and froing, or were you saying, look, this is what's in my head, this is what I want you to do, or just look, you just do it, go ahead, free rein?
A couple of times he'd give us a few drafts. There'd be bits we were saying, there's certain bits here what are not going to be like this, but you get the idea. We sort of, it's looking cool. Just carry on, leave it, you know. Obviously, we didn't really interfere with it too much, so
Yeah.
you know, I'm just left into it really. And
It's good to see that you're doing a second video as well, because I've asked bands before, and like you say, it is time consuming, but also it's not cheap either. So, but it's good to see. You've got to do what you've got to whore the band pretty much on social media, don't you? So,
yeah, you need some. I mean, lyric videos are pretty, you know, simple.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
yeah,
which making it something a little bit more than just a stock photo with lyrics going over the top.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
Cool. But going back to the recording of the EP, how was the recording for you all? I mean, did it take you a good few goes before you were happy with the performance? Was there a song that you had to record, or a part of a song that you had to record over and over again? Did you call the producer like a few different names that day because he was pissing you off? Like saying Mass, like you can do better with your vocals. Like, fuck off, I'm trying my best.
It wasn't like that at all. It was the exact. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody, but it was the exact opposite of that. The exact opposite of that. Everybody just. I think what Mass, me and you did our guitar parts in maybe one like first or second take all the way through. Proper old school. Everybody had their parts down before we went and recorded it, basically. So we got the work done. Then we had fun. There was no bad atmosphere. It was just a great atmosphere. Kev was great to work with. There was none of that. That's not what we're about. We may put that out in our music, but in terms of who we are and the sort of camaraderie between us all, it's not like that at all. It's the exact opposite.
Yeah. We went up there just to track drums, bass, and rhythm guitars. So that's all we came back from there with. We recorded the vocals at Dan's studio. Then we just sent the solos as well. So we didn't waste any studio time. We just got the basics down: drums, bass, rhythm guitars. The rest of it we did down here in his own time, and sent Kev the files back and just left him to it.
Yeah.
You know, we got a few drafts now and again going, this is what I'm doing. And it's like, you know, carry on. You know, again, we didn't really interfere with it. We sort of left him, and what he sent us back, we're like, fuck, yeah, man, what we paid for doing it, and experience we had going up, and working with Kev, and environment, it was just 10 out of 10, you know what I mean? So we're definitely going to go back.
Did it cost you a wee bit extra coming up to Scotland and the recording experience, or did you actually find it more benefit? Like,
the money's not important, dude. The money's not important. The end results are important.
Absolutely.
And you know, if we were all about money, yeah, we wouldn't be in a death metal band, would we? Because we wouldn't be. You know, let's face it, yeah, we're not here for the money.
So I can't remember what we paid for it, but whatever it was, it were a bargain.
Absolutely.
You know, because it was not just the studio.
It was the whole
product. It was the environment and the digs, what you stop in, the accommodation. You know, we all had a big communal dinner. We took a load of curry up with us, and we had a big. It's great. You know, showers and big open sofas, big TV, separate bedrooms. You know, the environment's just great.
Sounds as if you're coming up every month then.
Yeah.
But
wish I could.
But Mass has got the easy part because he's got rhythm guitar, so he's just doing the riffs, and then he's just shouting into a microphone. But Arno, when you were recording the two songs then and doing the leads and stuff like that, did you feel that everybody in the studio was crossing their arms and just watching you like a hawk? And
no, because the way that we do the leads, as Mass said, like me and Mass tend to do the leads in isolation with each other. So and then you know so we've got time to get them right. So no, I didn't feel any of that really. I mean, there was a couple of long days getting them down, but we got them down, you know. And we didn't waste silly money in a studio doing that. We did that. You know, it's about being how can I put it? Very strategic about how you spend your money. Yeah. So as he said, we got all the bare bones of what we needed in Scotland, and then we had all the bells and whistles on at home. Send it back. Total confidence in Kev. And you know, it turned out better than we could have imagined. So we were well happy with it, and we'll definitely be going back there.
I like it. And the fact that it's 10-15 minutes away is just amazing. From me, it's just absolutely amazing. Yeah, so now that the world's opened its doors again to playing live, I've seen the amount of gigs that you've played recently, but what is in store for Blasphemer in the future? Like, where do you see yourselves playing? Where would you like it to go?
At the press, we have probably 4 or 5 gigs in the book. We've got first one we're doing is with Malediction in Nottingham in March 15th, I think.
Yeah,
15th of March,
mid-March,
Friday 15th of March in Nottingham. Yeah, so that's with Malediction, which is going to be a blast.
Yeah, good guys.
Forward to. Yeah.
Interviewed them a couple of months ago, and interviewed them a few months ago, and met them personally at Coffin Mulch album show. And Rich and Mark are great guys, you know. So great band. Good to see them back.
Yeah, definitely. To be playing with them as well. Good guys, and Rich. Yeah, Rich is a good guy.
Yeah. So you've got Nottingham. What else have you got? Oh, you're not allowed to see it.
We've got a few gigs around May bank holiday. We're going to be doing that one up in Edinburgh on Friday.
A local one.
Edinburgh on Friday, 3rd of May. And we're playing in Dewsbury on Friday, 4th of May, which is like a local rock club, squash club in Dewsbury. Then next day we're playing in London at the Dev on the 5th. So, yeah.
So the gig in London, is that supporting?
No, we're playing in at the Dev with the Bleeding.
Excellent.
I don't think they've been announced yet, but I think they will be announced before long. You know what I mean? So it's no big secret, really.
Yeah. Now they're a good band too. I've played them in my show, like so.
There might be something else later on in October. I'm not sure yet.
October the 5th, did you say? Saturday at the Flying Duck? Yes, more to be announced on that very, very shortly. We will talk about that off air, but yes, it is happening. And I very much look forward to it. Thank you honestly, guys. Thanks very much for your time tonight. I know we've had a long interview and things like that, but I really do appreciate your time, and I appreciate you releasing top quality material to boot. So it's a win-win situation. So thank you for staying with me. I've only got a couple of questions left, but you released the EP independently. So where can we hear the EP? What's your social media? Where can we find Blasphemer then?
Bandcamp.
Everything.
Our Bandcamp.
Everything, yeah.
Obviously, we're pretty much everywhere, but we will have physical copies soon. Obviously, contact us on Facebook directly, Blasphemer UK. You can get stuff.
Everything's on. Everything's on Spotify. It's on Spotify, Amazon, usual stuff. So.
Because I noticed that you're also going to release the EP in cassette form. So, I think it said like January, February. So who's going to release the cassette? Where can we get it from, etc.?
Yeah, with Macho Records. Yeah. Guy Kendo from Macho Records from Brainbath. Yeah. He's going to be printing them up for us. So hopefully they'll be ready by end of January, February. So it's been processed as we speak.
Is a crazy thing in itself. If someone had told me in 2024 that Blasphemer were still releasing tape releases and people would want them, like I said, it's a strange time.
We're looking at different things to do with it, but at the end of the day, it's a 2-track idea, and we sort of had a few half-decent live recordings from a killer gig we had in Leeds with Analepsy. It was just like fucking mental savage gig. And the audio we got from it.
I love that band as well.
They were great.
It was pretty raw. With amplifiers got knocked over and strings got broke, but it was just vibe at gig. It was really good, and the chanting sounds like a Maclad's gig, the live at Leeds. Yeah, they're chanting Yorkshire and shit, and it's just like it's just got a really good vibe. It's not perfect, but it's fucking raw. I used to listen to tapes back in the day when you had bootleg copies of gigs, what you thought were great. Even though sound quality was shit, but you had a vibe, you know what I mean? So rather than everything being pristine, we thought, fuck it, we'll bang 4 or 5 of them tracks on it as well.
Yeah.
We have put two of them are going to be on the cassette. We put more of them on Bandcamp just because we have.
Is Child Catcher going to be on there?
Child Catcher's up on the Bandcamp.
Yeah. Is it going to be on the cassette?
It's not on the cassette, no.
Right. That's the end of the interview. Thanks very much for tonight.
Child Catcher,
No, absolutely brilliant. And Kendall from Brainbath, you couldn't have asked for a better guy to release your cassettes. And I love it as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good.
Yeah,
Really
man.
good to sort out. Yeah.
uh,
I'm looking forward
It's
to,
like, like what he was
gigs
saying
with it.
earlier, we could have been really precious, couldn't we, about that live recording and gone, oh, it's not perfect, we're not putting it out, but it just sounds fucking brutal, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
there's a whole section in Immortality, right? If you want a funny story.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, we that was a last minute gig, right? It wasn't even our gig. And it just went absolutely fucking mental, Ricky. Yeah. And like people, it was like going to a gig when we were 14, you know? And we were the band on stage. People are falling on my equipment, my guitar's cutting in and out because people are falling onto my wireless system and shit. It was just everything that like could have gone wrong from say that aspect did go wrong, but it was brilliant for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
When you were allowed to stage dive and stuff like that. Yeah.
well, it was crazy, wasn't it? That gig, Mass. It was fucking insane.
Yeah.
No, no, good. But also like how the old school aesthetics are coming back, like the cassettes and the vinyl, they're outselling CDs and stuff like that, you know. I mean, even a few years ago, it got me to buy a £25 tape and cassette player from Argos, and it allowed me to play all my old tapes again, you know. So it's
the
great.
old Morbid Angel, All's a Madness tape and Blessed of the Sick tape, yeah, that used to walk around with you.
I still sell the old demo tapes regular. I have a box of them down here because I had a big wedge of the demo inlays from the 92 demo and the 94 demo. So I've not had to reprint them. They're just ones what I had in the box.
Those left,
back. I've got loads of them left.
Yeah.
We're still.
Send him the demos up. Send him them.
But we still regularly sell those in dribs and drabs to Oliver. You know, I sent two of them to France last week and one to Texas. It's just weird. Folk buy cassettes. I don't buy them myself, but people buy them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the amount it costs to get them done, thought, well, fuck it, you know what I mean? It's cheaper than, you know.
I thought someone was taking cool, piss, you know, the first time someone told me that they wanted stuff on tape. I was like, what?
I know.
And like I said before to you, seriously, when we do gigs now, honestly, half the audience is our age, and the rest of them are like 22 or something. It's like, what the fuck is going on, man? And lots of young girls at these death metal gigs.
Absolutely.
Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Since when did we turn into a chick band?
Sex into death metal.
Well, you hardly take that looking like tape that, are you? But
putting the sexiness back.
The young one.
Do you know something? That's going to be the title of the article that I'll write to coincide with this video. Putting the sexiness back in death metal blasphemer. That's what I'll do.
Please do that.
I will do that.
Give me sexy back.
I will do that. I will do that. But yeah, so now, well, actually, you guys have got like quite a discography. You've got a huge number. I've got two last questions. You've got a 30. Let's say you've got a 40-minute set, and with the amount of demos and with the amount of the couple of albums and now the EP and stuff like that, what's your favourite song to play live and why? Maybe you've got like 8 to 10 songs on your set list, but you cannot wait until number 5 is going to be played. So, Arno, I'm going to ask you first. What song are you looking forward to?
We haven't played Mark for Death yet live. I'm looking forward to playing that live.
Right.
One that I always enjoy playing live, is I really enjoy playing Blasphemer live, and I really enjoy playing Childcatcher as well.
Can't argue with that at all. Can't argue. Is there a specific reason? Is it the riffs that you particularly like, or is it the leads, or is it?
I like them because I like them because there's stops in both songs where I get to shout at the crowd. This is my honest answer.
Well, can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. What about you, Mass? What's your favourite and why?
I don't know. Maybe Corpse River because I get a bit of a break.
An instrumental because you get a break from your.
I do plenty of vocals in it, but it's a bit more of a laid back tune, and I get to try and impersonate Martin Van Drunen a little bit more.
Fair enough. Yeah,
it's more yowls and stuff in that one.
But I've got one last question for you, and this is probably going to last for another 40 minutes. Because now I'm going to ask about the instruments that you use to record the EP. So, because you're both guitarists, what was your guitar of choice? What were your amps? What was your setup? What pedals do you use? Who's got the biggest pedal board on stage? Whose pedal board's the heaviest to carry into the gig?
Right. Okay. For me, I used 3 guitars on the recordings. All the rhythm guitars were, for my parts, all my rhythm parts were recorded on a Jackson King V X series with EMG active pickups on there, the 81 and 85 set on those. And then my lead parts were recorded on Jackson Pro Series Randy Rhodes with the jazz pickups.
Okay.
The Lightning Pro, Randy Rhodes, and then some of the other leads were recorded on. Did I record any of those new leads on my new guitar? I don't think I did. No, it might be just 2 guitars. I might have got that wrong. I think it's those 2, isn't it? These ones.
I would have thought with your setup behind you, you've got it ready and waiting to show us.
No, these are not the ones that are behind me are not the ones I'm using on stage at all. I used to play on all the first comeback of Blasphemer. It was all ESP guitars I used to play, but I've kind of moved over to Jackson now. So all the stuff that
was there a reason for that? Did you like the sound better? Or the feel?
Basically, it was a happy accident. Well, a sad accident and a happy accident. During the pandemic, just before we all got locked down, one of our long-time road crew passed away, he died. Yeah. And just before we all got locked down in February, the bands that he used to work with, there was like a celebration of his life kind of gig that all the bands that played with him played this gig together, locally for him. And after that gig, just all the equipment went back into my cellar, and I left my main guitar down there, and I forgot I'd left my main guitar down there. And over the pandemic, I had a sort of freezer down there, and it leaked all over my guitar, so it just ruined it, the main guitar that I had. So
expensive.
I thought, right, I'm gonna have to get something different now to replace the main guitar that I was using on stage. And I'd never had a V guitar before. I don't know why, but I'd never had one. I saw one going on Reverb, really good price. Yeah. Got one of those, loved it. And then from then on, I thought, right, this is the best guitar I've ever played. And I just replaced my guitars with Jacksons, basically, from that.
There you go. What about...
I'm kind of using that now. And then in terms of effects, in the studio, I think we used your Engel... what is it? A Powerball you've got, Mass? Or?
Yeah, the Engel Powerball 100.
And what was the other amp we used in the studio? What was that
amp
we used? No, we used a different amp as well. I can't remember what it was now.
It might have been one there, but predominantly we used my Engel into.
I used to use a PV6505 Plus. But I'm now using Live. I mean, I'd kind of resisted this for years, going down the sort of digital route. I'm now using Live-wise. I use a Headrush pedal board with a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200 as a power amp. So that's kind of my live setup now. That has like, the effects that I need on it and the amps that I need on it.
You're not bringing a wee HM2 into it or anything like that?
Than I used to do. So, yeah, it's come to a stage now where the digital stuff's good for that. So.
You didn't hear my question, Arno. You're not bringing a wee HM2 into it or anything like that?
Mass has always been more into the HM2 than me.
I've got 2 of them. I've got 2 HM2s, but they're unpredictable beasts to try and play live.
I mean, we used to, believe it or not, before, I think the first pedals we used, or some of the pedals, the early pedals that we used back in the 90s, were the old metal zones. That's what we used to use back in the day. And they always sounded like
Marshall valve stays.
and they always sounded like shit. And then I saw an Ola England video on his channel where he's putting it through the effects loop, and they absolutely sound mint. So maybe that's what we were going wrong with those. But, yeah. So now, I mean, like I've only just started using the sort of effects, sort of pedal board type thing.
Yeah.
Up until List of the Goat, all that stuff was just done on a PV60 505 plus with no effects.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely impressive. Very, very impressed. But Mass, I think you're going to top it because I can see you being the more progressive metal guitarist, and you've got a 7-string guitar.
No, I keep it simple. I use
You've got a 2-string guitar, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I use 2 strings. Yeah. I keep it simple.
The least likely person I know to have a 7-string guitar.
I don't know. It's a 6-string. We tune to E flat Slayer tuning. You know, it's simple, not down tune, heavy gauge strings and fuck all. I recorded with a Solar V. I got cheap off somebody who was selling it as a bargain. What model it is, I can't remember. It's black and it looks mean, and it's got an expensive pickup in it. And I got it for a killer price. I put a lead from that into front of my angle, and that's it. I have pedal boards and shit at home for recording and stuff, but when I'm playing live, I like to keep in and out of there in 5 minutes. It's like a Formula 1 pit stop. You've got to be in and out, quick.
Something tells me Arno is very simple.
Change over.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we both are. I mean, even though I've now started using the Headrush Live, if you look at the setup that I'm using on there, it's basically an amp sim of an amp that I used to use, a cabinet that I used to use, a tube screamer, and really then just for leads, the only effects that I'm using for leads is like a whole reverb and a chorus. That is it. It's very, very, very basic, even in terms of like the leads and stuff that we're doing and the effects that we're putting on there. It's not saturated with loads of effects.
Yeah.
Look, we're old school, man. Me and Mass, our heroes grew up in the 80s, man. You know, we were all about, old school Metallica, old school, Master of Puppets, Raining Blood, South of Heaven, all that kind of stuff, and that's not saturated with like lots and lots of effects. Again, it's very sort of sparse, really. It's effects are there when they need to be there. It's not something that's like, just saturated in loads of effects. Keep it as simple as possible.
Absolutely. So what do you do? What do you do, Mass, when you break a guitar string live? Then, if
pick up another guitar,
just start singing.
They always take 2 to a gig. I mean, it's once a blue moon you might pop a string, but they just have the one outside here and just take it off and put the other one on. It's simple as that. Yeah.
Ultimate professional.
Yeah, it's just usually shoved around back at cabinet, isn't it? Next to spilt pint on floor on stage.
There's always 6 guitars with us live, 2 basses, 2 guitars each, for that kind of thing. But
yeah.
It doesn't happen too often these days, string breakages. But
it's very rare,
Yeah. So you like bringing in your HM2 out sometimes and just play some Swedish death metal when you're on your own, Mass, do you?
I've tried it in bands we played with before, with a band, Narcotic Death. I were in for a while, from a drummer who played it within Nailed. The Ferocious. I love the sound, but they're great for playing certain types of death metal.
Yeah.
It's the slow, mid-paced death metal. It's great when you're trying to play fast stuff with them.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Kind of preciseness to get it.
It's great for a certain sound. It's Age 2 and I fucking love that chainsaw sound. It's great, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll do like a cover on your next album or something like that. You'll do like an Entombed or Grave or something like that, or Nirvana 2002 or something.
How about Tiamat? Sumerian Cry, some of the album.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, some of Sumerian Cry, because they seem to forgot about that album. I think it's great.
Aye.
Which album?
Sumerian Cry.
Oh, Sumerian Cry's got some classic stuff on it. I mean, that's a totally overlooked album. The fact that that came out, about 6 months before, like Left Hand Path and all that kind of stuff, and it's totally overlooked. That is one of the most overlooked albums of that era. And I advise anybody out there to go check out Tiamat Sumerian Cry. It's brutal.
Well, I tell you what, Arno, you have committed yourself to doing more vocals. And Mass, you've committed yourself to doing a song from Sumerian Cry on the next album release for Blasphemer.
That's not a hard thing for Mass. He's going to go into that willingly, trust me.
We were actually playing Necrophagus Shadows, weren't we, when we first started jamming again?
I think we should do something else off that album.
And I think it was actually Hypothesis of Morbidity, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's do that one. That sounds like a good idea.
We were actually recording. We've got some recordings of us jamming there.
Work it out.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds like it's going to happen. But Mass and Arno, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys.
Thanks for your time, bud.
I shall try my best to get through to Edinburgh in May, but if not, you might be going to a wee sneaky gig in Glasgow in October, but I will try my best to get through to the gig in May. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and thank you very much. I'll do my best. I'll do all I can for Blasphemer on Moshville Radio. I'll do my bit for Moshville Times as well. I'll do the articles and everything like that. When you've got something done, I'll review it. I don't do reviews as much as I used to do. I now just do this kind of thing. But I'll certainly play it on the radio station.
It's more interactive, you know?
Absolutely. Who reads a review now, you know?
Who buys magazines anymore? It's like everything's online, isn't it? And
that's it.
You know, one thing, there are good things and bad things about the internet, but one of the good things about the internet is things like this, that you can sort of connect with people like yourself and maybe be a little bit more closer to people that are actually interested in what you're doing. So, you know, that's cool.
It's just funny though, like before COVID, you would got an email with like 50 questions on it. But now, since COVID, everybody's noticed Zoom, noticed Teams, Discord, and all the rest of it. So it's just funny how things work out. But I love doing this now. I think you guys are like 170th interview or something, and I just love talking to fuckers because I've got nothing else to do for the time.
This kind of format anyway, I think it's much cooler.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing what you guys do next. So don't take too long in recording your next material, because I now know where you're going to record. So if you do take too long, I'll come over and kick your ass.
We're gonna like make you drink lots of whiskey and eat lots of curry.
I don't drink, mate. I don't.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Do you like curry?
Yes.
That's the important question. Right, do you like curry and kebabs? Come along then.
Right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks very much for the interview.